Hello, everyone. Greetings and welcome to your favorite podcast channel, Nigeria Unfiltered. Shalom Ufoma Erude is my name, and today we're continuing on the series, The History of Nigeria. We're looking at a very interesting topic, which is the constitutional development of Nigeria. And according to history, the constitutional development of Nigeria can be grouped into three phases. We have the colonial phase, we have the post-colonial phase, and we have the contemporary dispensation. That said, according to history, the first constitutional framework in Nigeria can be traced to 1914 amalgamation that was carried out by Sir Frederick Lugard that brought about the Northern Protectorate and the Southern Protectorate, making it one entity. I'm going to be looking at the major characteristic of that constitution in this regard. And the major thing that that constitution brought to Nigeria was that it created a 36-member council, and that council was headed by the Governor General. And in this particular time, Lord Lugard was the Governor General. And of course, I need not tell you that indirect rule was a system that amalgamation introduced to Nigeria. I also did not tell that indirect rule is premised on taxation, the use of local chiefs to administer their area for the benefit of the colonial masters. That said, we are moving to the next constitutional development in Nigeria, and that is the 1922 Sir Hughes Clifford Constitution. According to history, the Hughes Clifford Constitution was popularly known for elective principle. That is to say, it was that constitution that set the framework for what we now have to know as electoral processes in Nigeria. That constitution led to the establishment of political parties in Nigeria. And that was when the first political party in Nigeria, talking about the Nigerian National Development Party, NNDP, was established in 1923 by Sir Albert Macaulay. In 1934, another powerful party was established known as the Lagos Youth Movement, and it was changed in 1936 to the Nigerian Youth Movement. History has it that the 4 legislative seats that was contestable in that constitution was won by the NNDP, 3 for Lagos and 1 from Calabar. That said, the Hughes Clifford Constitution, it also retained the Executive Council, the 36-member Executive Council that Lord Lugard introduced. History has it that the kind of franchise or suffrage that was active during that era was a limited property suffrage. That is, for you to go into the polls, you must be earning £100 annually. And of course, it was later modified after some series of agitation to £50 annually. That said, I'd like you to know that every constitutional development in Nigeria was not something that was a walk in the park. It was as a result of agitations by Nigerians for a better presentation and engagement in governance. So that constitution that was set forward by Hughes Clifford was opposed, and the next constitution that was established was what we now know as the Sir Arthur Richard Constitution of 1946. I'd like you to know this. The Richard Constitution of 1946 is popularly known for introduction of regionalism. That is to say, it officially divided Nigeria into 3 entities. These, the northern region, the western region, and the eastern region of Nigeria. That said, the Richard Constitution brought about 14-member executive council and 46 legislative council. I'd like you to know that that particular constitution set the pace for what we will now know as federalism. Remember, according to the doyen of federalism, talking about Professor Casey Ware, John Watts, federal system is premised on regionalism. It was that Richard Constitution that set the pace. That is why some argument said that federalism can be traced to the 1946 Arthur Richards Constitution. Of course, Nigerians were not satisfied. By Nigerians, I'm referring to the nationalists who were at the vanguard of pushing for better representation of the entity called Nigeria. And of course, series of permutations, alignment, negotiation, and what have you was carried out, and that moved us to the next constitution, and that is the John Macpherson's constitution. History has it that the John Macpherson constitution was established in the year 1951, and it is known for quasi-federalism. When we say quasi-federalism, we are referring to a federal system that is a mixture of federalism and unitarianism. That is to say, is a semi-federal structure. Why did we say that? The Macpherson Constitution also increased the representation of Nigerians in governance. That we have a 136 legislative council and we have a 19-member executive council. That was what that constitution by John Macpherson brought. Of course, Nigerians were not happy. They were not satisfied, and there was a need for a better representation. Series of negotiations occurred, and history has it that before the fourth constitution was introduced, talking about the Oliver Lyttleton Constitution of 1954, two constitutional conferences was held. The first one was held in London, and the second one was held in Lagos. History has it that Oliver Lyttleton, as at then, was the Secretary of State for the colony and the protectorate of Nigeria. And what were the prayers of the nationalists that represented Nigeria? What they prayed for was a better representation. They wanted a constitution where Nigerians would be consulted to decide matters that concerns them. I'd like you to know that it was the result of that constitutional conference that brought about the background of true federalism. Scholars and historians will argue that the Oliver Lyttleton Constitution is known for true federalism. I like to list out the major characteristic features of that constitution in Nigeria. First, Oliver Lyttleton Constitution brought about 5 federating units. These: the northern region, the eastern region, the western region, and the federal capital territory of Lagos and the southern Cameroon. Take note of that. Secondly, it established a House of Representatives that comprised 188 members, and these members are constitutionally elected. It also created a Federal Council of Ministers, and these ministers were drawn from the Federal House of Representatives. And lastly, in this regard, it allocated for a legislative power of 2 tiers, these the federal and the regional government. I'd like you to know that according to history, the Oliver Lyttleton Constitution of 1954 set the framework for the Independence Constitution. History has it that at independence, our constitution was a conglomeration, an aggregation, a combination of all these constitutions that has been established before independence. Before I conclude, what is a constitution? Whilst there are plethora of definition for the concept or term constitution, I'd like you to know, to set record straight, that a constitution is a body of principles, rules, laws, and regulations upon which a certain or a given people are governed and administered. A constitution are the written and unwritten documents that clearly spells out the modus operandi of a state or a country. Nigeria as a country has enjoyed some constitutional development, and if we look back history lane, we will know that everything that has been happening in Nigeria has been as a result of agitations by the nationalists. Will I say these nationalists were fighting for selfish interests, or were having mixed representation? That is, while they pursued the agenda of Nigeria, they were also looking for a way to become relevant. That is a story for another day. I like to conclude on this note. According to the Black American historian James Baldwin, history is needed to chart the course for the present and the future. The reggae king Bob Marley: until you know your history, then you know where you're coming from. Chinua Lumogu Achebe clearly succinct: until the lion learns to tell his story, the hunter will keep taking the glory. If you like this podcast channel, Nigeria Unfiltered, kindly engage, promote, subscribe. Till when next we meet, Shalom Ufoma Erude is my name.